I don't know why, but it feels like kind of like a deja vu of whatever happened in the C Championship recent a couple of months ago. When it came to, obviously that's only the finals, right? And that's like a 3-day sprint, so it's going to be a similar format like what we're facing right now. It seems that they are not hot. Like when it comes to this kind of format, it's not their gameplay. I don't know. They seem to be uncomfortable with this 3D format, basically.
Yeah, if you remember the most recent tournament with most of all these players of Infinity closing out against Nova Esports very recently in the PMRC, I think it takes a level of determination for them to really fight much harder. It's not to say that they're not doing that in particular. I think the past round they have shown strength in terms of securing most of all these takedowns, but it's definitely not on their usual performance of a high-scoring round at the very least. Same could be said about FaZe Clan, and I think FaZe Clan is in a rougher spot, basically back into a victory state, if you ask me. Like, this team always has an issue with stamina. If you remember the past couple of seasons ago, FaZe Clan has looked good in their local league, and then when come time for the grand finals, it's a little bit of a no-show, and they have missed a couple of C championship altogether. Finally, they are back here with a better stakes in hand, but they're still not making the cut of showing up in the grand finals.
Yeah, so I was talking with my viewers yesterday on, we're talking about this, obviously we're talking about the PMPL, and in general, like what the viewers think is that FaZe Clan is Tony K and friends. It's like if Tony K gets eliminated or if Tony K doesn't perform, FaZe Clan doesn't perform in general. So that's kind of worrying that you're kind of like depending on one player. And I cannot disagree. We have seen a couple of times, especially in week 3, Tony K was the first one to go out and FaZe Clan just didn't really perform. So that's worrying if you are that kind of team who really, really depends on one player.
That's right, and I think like a lot of teams have adapted into playing very differently. And we've seen a little bit of shift of focus coming in from FaZe Clan as well, where we've seen other players try to rise up to scene like Lycan. And we've also seen Beer 11 playing on week 3, which have an interesting dynamic into the roster. But the thing that have remained to be constant, of course, MR5. I think most often than not, Tony K really relies on MR5 as well as Vintorius to be activated. And if none of these guys are showing up, it's not a good look for the entire squad. But of course, I could be absolutely wrong, where you could say all you want that it's a Tony K show. I kind of beg to differ that it's not just him.
So it's more of his teammates not activated that makes Tony K not activated.
In a way.
Right, okay. So that's an interesting angle.
With good backup, you can get as much confidence in storming buildings and making sure that you have supplies of smoke, and there's always quick pickup if you were to be knocked down. So that's what I'm looking at.
Okay, so I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, right? So when FaZe Clan doesn't perform, you're saying that Tony K is actually okay, and it's not his fault.
Yeah. I think like overall, I think his performance have been great through the season.
Okay.
And MR5 has been relatively great as well. It's just that it's the lack of coordination that kind of leaves them in a really awkward situation many a times. DFAM, though, they have been guarding this bridge for a long time. Not going to be seeing anybody pass by the western corner of the Sonovska Bridge. SLD can just wait out about by the corners of Gatka. While we are seeing 3 teams currently playing outside of the blue zone.
Yeah, interesting. Well, the circle's on the left, right? So the Infinity, Buram, Boom, they're kind of like on the right. So that's why they're tanking out a little bit more. But anyway, it's the first phase of the circle, so that's kind of still okay. And we do see teams do that, and that's kind of common as well, especially if the circle is towards one side. What I'm interested to see that if whatever the Gig Fam is doing, playing the bridge trolling on the left side of the bridge, the area with the lighthouse, will they get anything out of that? We do know that there are two teams inside the military base island. They may go through the right bridge or they may go through the left bridge, depending on how they want to play. But that also means that is still opportunity for GeekFan to secure a couple of points in the bag. Now, they are just waiting for the fishers to come towards the area, and if they do come, looking at how they're spread out at this moment, I do think they stand a chance of blowing up some vehicles.
Fair enough, and they're just waiting for the perfect timing to do so. As TM, they're going to be absolutely fine throughout this course of battle. I'm looking at both Boom Esports as well as Eagle Esports now sitting at 50 points for Eagle and 59. I think Boom stands a really decent chance at getting back on track. Of course, in the day's work, it's going to be very difficult unless if they do close out with a chicken dinner, then the likelihood of them basically chasing up to everybody else is going to be significant. DX inside of the city of Pochinki, and we are already seeing GD, 4 rivals, as well as FaZe Clan surrounding the sector. Most of them have been able to predict it really correctly. But is it going to be inside of the city? That's going to be a little bit of a tough ask because we have never seen an urban ending in Pochinki in a long time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The entire league, we haven't seen that. So it's going to be interesting if it ends there. I hope not, though. I'm not a fan of urban warfare at the final circle because it gets a little bit slow. Everyone will be like, just,
but it's intense. Just like how, the past chicken dinner was inside of that compound.
Well,
it's just that you amplify it by 5 fights happening in a different sector, and then it will take a while before the full fight erupts.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I'm not really a fan if that's like an entire city. If it's like just one compound or 2 compounds next to each other, that's kind of okay. But if an entire city, then you get like one person in one house and they'll only be forced to move because of the circle or because of the blue comes in. If not, everyone will be like just by the window, looking out, using a TPP and all that. So it kind of gets a little bit slow when that happens.
It does. And while we are waiting for more action coming in, we've already got only the first blood onto Mela, who was snatching the vehicle early on, if you guys might have actually missed it. Now, 4 rivals on the lookout. Speaking of Infinity, they've already lost 1 member. Now they are driving side to side against Buram United members. It's a little bit concerning, though, but none of these players have a pillion rider. Therefore, they make it out safely without shots being fired at them. On to another 2 Thai side. We have both VP as well as FaZe Clan. Locking horns down to Venturas here to make some calls. And I wonder if they actually find those results, though. Smoke's being popped out coming in from Ravenclaw as he tried to reposition. Empire Esports hot off of that chicken dinner. Let's see if there's going to be possibilities for back-to-back chicken dinners for today.
Yeah, they're playing a little bit of a different style right now. Looking at the current situation, they're playing straight into the circle. And we are still the second phase, so there's still a lot of room to play. And that's why they kind of open up 2-2. They try to secure as much perimeter as possible within the guard car circle. So 2 of them on the outside and 2 of them trying to find a compound or slope to play with. And that's pretty smart as well, because when you send 2 people onto a certain area, they kind of become your marker. And if the circle shifts away, at least you know that you can go to wherever the marker is safely, because you know that someone's there securing that area, and you don't need to really think of where you want to go in a short period of time.
That's right, and of course, all these checkpoints will be really important throughout the course of the game, where if they need to fall back to something, they will actually ping it too, so that they would know what exactly to do in a desperate situation for the most part. Boom Esports, they don't see themselves to be in a troubled state, but we have the blue chasing them for quite a while now. Today, the circle has dropped upon areas where the crate is at. Could this be a SLD circle?
Ooh, wow.
Remember that double crate in Crater Fields earlier today?
Like,
it could happen.
It's called crate the fields for a reason, right? That's how you get the double crate.
Right.
Yeah, that's where they were born.
The greater craters.
The crate the field. But if any team were to get like a chicken dinner, okay, if any team were to get a slot into the next round, I would want SLD to do it. I would want to see the Cinderella story happen.
Yeah, and this could be the game where they're in a really great spot, though. Maybe I could change my thoughts because shots are being fired from DX towards the direction of SLD. FaZe Clan on the approach to by the corners of the outskirts of the farm of Gatka, and Geek Fam have trailed in from the southwestern end. As the Alter Ego takes their sweet time, we see Infinity making a move too. The rest of the Savior find themselves inside of that shack, or should I say the warehouses, drawing some exchange. GD is going to be up close and personal. And Frankie 007 got to see if he could basically land that sniping target. And Buram United planted inside the city. I don't think any of these teams are willing to commit to any fight.
Yeah, especially if you're in the circle and you know for sure you have 63 players. You surely know that you have 16 teams still intact. So if you don't have a reason to crash into a certain compound, you normally won't do it, especially, like I said, you're in the circle. Unless you're on the outside circle, you need to get in, you probably don't have any other way, your rotations are stuck, you need to crash into the compound. Totally understandable. Last we saw the map being open out, the Eagle was still on the outside of the circle, Geekfam was on the left, and on the right was another team. It feels like their entry point might be a little bit limited. They might choose to do that at some point, but if they're able to find another way in, I think they will still try to avoid fights because it is still 16 teams.
Overall, they're just trying to rotate into the best area of play. And I think for most part of these matches that we had today, it's really about securing that perfect location in order to secure a top 4 finish. We've seen glimpse of TM getting the chicken dinner, and past round, BRU made it to top 3 as well. And here goes, shots fired at Boom Esports as they try to rotate through the hills. Bacon Time stops them on their track. And this is just a little bit of a rough call, and that only leaves 2 more members standing as they are still on that vehicle moving about.
Unfortunately, Boom have to leave Yummy on the outside, and Yummy, one of the players that do perform for Boom alongside Octa. At least they still have Octa though, but then again, playing as a duo is not the best situation to be in. Bacon Time, on the other hand, they managed to get into the circle unchallenged. They have a marker, they have someone inside the compound, so they have a fortress to play with at this point. But can't say the same for FaZe Clan. Right in front of them, SLD is waiting.
SLD is keeping good measures here. They're just by the corner of the circle. Udo Lions, though, have been waiting in ruins, and they have benefited from that wait. Same goes to Infinity, as they have already repositioned, but they are going really close against Udo Lions. Shots being fired coming from FaZe Clan, hoping to land the target onto Boom Esports, who have just arrived. And the X, with a little bit of shred of damage, Stone does get a takedown onto Octa.
I just mentioned about him being one of the star players for Boom. Unfortunately, he's taken out by Stone from the Vampires. Frankie will be gunned down by Booms. And if you kind of think about it, looking at the earlier rotation where the map was shown, the Infinity came all the way from Milta, and now they're in the middle of the circle on the outskirts of Ruins. Their rotation is insane this round.
Indeed it is, but I think like they really have to start picking up some of these fights as well between these 2 teams. Or the grenade exchanges can get a little bit frustrating, where there's not much angles that you could squeeze through these windows, and most likely than not, they'll be able to make a run. But C-Sky only is running towards the direction of the nade.
Wow! You can't think about it, it's across the smoke. Like there was a smoke stop covering his view, but yet he mentioned that nade and a counter nade coming from my name P. One on my buddy, one back to you. That's the revenge that they want.
And that also allows both sides to quickly go in for a reset, where they will quickly go for a pickup. But Boychill is still asking for help, so well, it's just going to be the loitering around, taking a quick look. But Alter Ego versus Geek Fam now. Alter Ego has a little bit of leverage here. They get one knock.
Oh, Alter Ego, this was a team playing on the outside of the circle. Their trend is they like to play from the outside, a little bit slower, but now GigFam happen to be right in front of Alter Ego has the advantage with the knockdown to GigFam, and they're moving in. They could probably secure a couple of elimination points. And here it is, Ronaldo spraying on the GigFam. Mika is still alive, 40% health.
Alter Ego having such a great advantage through these hills. The smokes are not really helping him all too much as Micah is still trying to trade right back. Ronaldo trying to hold on, but here comes GRU finding that spot on target with a little bit more shots coming in from the back. Batman was surprised, but he will be dropped nonetheless by Kengzo and Sky.
Sky only using only bandages. But boom, number 16, 0 elimination points, unfortunately. That's why we did talk about this, right? Yummy and Octa, Riri carrying Boom. If the both of them are out, that's a Boom will struggle. And unfortunately, he had to be the first one to go out. Now NFT not in a comfortable position as well. Sorvel caught on the outside, taking out the blue. While GigFam, no points for them too.
And look at the circle ping-ponging back towards the location where FaZe Clan is currently at. Infinity is also inbound. This could be a classic warfare between some of the finest Thai teams. On the outskirts, though, Vampire Esports is battling their way inwards. More nades coming in from the side of SLD. They try to flush out the rest of Alter Ego over on the bottom side. And they have been making some drastic measures. They run over one player, but that's a lot of damage being done. Alter Ego trying to fend off for himself. Potato, the last one to fall. Trongzin gets it for the team.
And SLD is the one that wins the fight. SLD now have time to reset. They have about 5 more seconds on the clock before the zone closes in. They need to make it quick as GDGIDS passes by them. But GDGIDS will ignore SLD and focus onto the circle.
They have to really make a move fast, though. From United, we've seen them play this game before, but they play into the corner and managed to win the exact same team to Savior inside of the shack. And they're going to repeat history yet again. But the circle definitely is not in the favor of the Savior. There is a supply of a crate dropping right in. Lambo, he wanted to take matters to his own hand. He's pushing out towards PRU with a great nade.
Oh, there's a nade coming in from the other side from Newsy. In fact, now the nade from Lamborghini could secure that elimination point for their team. Keizo is still alive, but they need to be aware that GDGIDS is on the left side. They're playing by the edge of the circle. Lamborghini prepping up into the nade. It's his final nade, in fact. Tossing it on to Buriram United, hoping to secure that elimination point. Sky only 40% health left, but Lamborghini switches to a Molly, and Sky only maybe burned to death.
Sky only couldn't really do all too much right there. Lambo just having a daredevil mindset. He's swapping out. He's holding a grenade. No chance whatsoever against Lambo on that DPS.
Oh, beautiful DPS there for Lamborghini. He had the high guy advantage, and because his opponent was holding the nade, that was the advantage that Lamborghini took. And now Tiger right in front of him. The nade will be tossed out by Lamborghini. It does connect onto Tiger, in fact. Down to 10% health, but Lamborghini doesn't know that, and he couldn't take the opportunity to finish off Tiger.
DX with such a drastic measure here coming in from Lambo. He's going to basically shut out the entirety of Durham United, but now only one lies beneath the smoke. Vampire Esports crashed out early, and here comes Bevy, shutting down one more player coming in from the Infinity. And that's 4 elimination points for Durham United before bowing out. TEM still committed to this fight. Finds Bravo trying to spray through the trees, but he's running into the zone first and foremost. There's no time to lose, and TEM, they're trying to make the cut. They've got 3 takedowns, but how much more can they get?
Gotuni knows exactly where Tem Entertainment is at. He sees Baby on the right, but then again, his crosshair needs to move as well. Moment's going to come in from the other side, but the nade from looks like it's going to be Tony Kid taking up making time, but Tem Entertainment is the one that takes out the Infinity. 10 elimination points now for FaZe Clan as the ties are coming back to the game.
FaZe Clan, well, after some dismal performance coming in from the past few rounds, they have finally returned with double digits on their name, and this is basically their best round so far. I talk about the support system. It's working well in shape. TEM, 2 players though. Same goes to DX on the opposite side of the street. They're trying to reposition with the vehicles left. 5 more teams left available. Udo Alliance, full squad ahead to challenge FaZe Clan, but they're nowhere to be seen at the moment from this angle. We take a close glimpse onto GD. They're trying to take the central stage. They do have Circle TM now tagged up. Udo Alliance try to force their way inwards.
Oh, Udo Alliance, let's not forget about them. They are still a full squad. Tem Entertainment SOZIP needs to pick up Baby just close by, just next behind them. But then again, Red Bull Boys wants the Mountain, but the Demon is out, taken out by none other than Yudo Alliance. He's even Lamborghini down to the last second belt, and Luke is there to blow up his vehicle. Lamborghini will be knocked out.
He still need to get a little bit of a pickup coming in from the rest of his teammates. DX playing with 2, but they feel like they have that confidence to shut off this round. Keep in mind, Lambo is still lethal in all these late game skirmishes. Yudo Lions now full squad ahead. Many times when they do approach situations like this, they've been able to sink out a victory. Now they're drawing close to a circle, but Rabbids spots them out, and the refracts come in. Tags being sent towards Rabbids as he had that landed on towards his head. Adik Luke, the king of snipers of Malaysia, only having the M4 in hand though.
Oh!
Things have been a little quiet coming from FaZe Clan, but Shamil will find one from GD.
Oh, now the Xavier down to the last man standing. This server will be dropped by Tony K. Tony K wants those elimination points in the bag because he's chasing for the FMVP. Rabbids, now he's in trouble. His life is too low. That means the Xavier is out. And now we're down to the top 3 teams.
FaZe Clan versus Yudo Alliance is possibly the match of the hour, while DD to be able to force some fight. They find him. Allen gets one, knocked out. Spike in another. Allen does it again. And the nades are not connecting coming from Yudo Alliance. Finally, FaZe Clan has chimed in. These shots not exactly landing, but Lycan will be able to find him instead. Ventoris with some sharp shots. 13 points in for FaZe Clan. All they have to do is to close out against the 2 remaining members of Yudo Alliance.
Oh, FaZe Clan, they don't have an active vehicle. Maybe they got one, but they're not using it just yet. But there's going to be Yudo Alliance. Now looks like their active vehicle has been blown out, so FaZe Clan is on foot at this point. But that also means that they couldn't rush in onto Yudo Alliance. They'll be sneaking in slowly onto Yudo Alliance. That also means that Yudo Alliance has the opportunity to reset themselves.
The Master coming with the full pickup, but the players do have very little room to basically make it all work out though. With all of them being clumped up together, they're relying on all these sort of smokes. While FaZe Clan approaching this with all the caution in the world, Repo's going to be trying to create a bunker of his own. He knows that some of these players are by the corners of the tree. Lycan though, coming in with a deep angle along with MR5. 20K spotted out jumping. Julio should be able to at least mark him for now. FaZe Clan, this is an interesting way of taking this fight. 3-1 positioning. While there's Julio.
Could this be the moment here for Yudo Alliance representing Malaysia to get that chicken dinner? They got 2 knockdowns back to back. 3rd knockdown! This could be it for Yudo Alliance! Going in on to 2DK! 1v4! This could be the moment for Malaysia! And it is Yudo Alliance securing the chicken dinner!
What on earth? We thought that there is an opportunity for FaZe Clan, but everybody lined up all together has made it all work for Yudo Alliance there, securing back-to-back knock. And the moment that MR5 fell on that side flank, everything crumbled up. We saw it's basically 3 players holding same angles. It shouldn't have been the case for FaZe Clan.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a little bit of a off angle for FaZe Clan somehow. Man, my oh my. And they also allowed Yudo Alliance to reset. Like they didn't have enough, it's either they didn't have enough information or they didn't make the right moves, because there was a lot of opportunity for Yudo Alliance to reset. If only like, okay, they don't have a vehicle, I totally understand that. But if FaZe Clan kind of like pressured Yudo Alliance, while they move, they shoot, they crouch, they move, they shoot, they crouch, at least they get closer and closer to Yudo Alliance. Because the final circle kind of favored Yudo Alliance. FaZe Clan had a little bit of it, but it's more towards Yudo Alliance. If only they kept that pressure onwards, they could have ended the round. But because they slowed down the pace, they allowed Yudo Alliance to reset, and that's where they took advantage of it.
Right, and there was so many of all these close battles on the outskirts. And this circle itself is in such an awkward spot for many of all these teams that they were being forced to play out in the open. And by then, players from the side of Yudo Alliance, they just congregated, they found players out of EM, and there's so many great shots coming from Shamil that has opened a lot of room for fire. And if it's not because of FaZe Clan shutting down Allen, I think there would be more opportunities for GD to actually wipe out the Alliance first.
Yeah. If only they allow Alan to like kind of do his thing, then FaZe Clan might have an easier ending. But it is what it is, right? I mean, you can't really pick your opponents. Whoever you see, you just shoot. But the final circle, my God, I felt like FaZe Clan could have done more during the final circle. I felt that they
so
should have.
too. Indeed,
You think
like,
so too?
like
Yeah.
the way that they positioned was a little bit questionable, but I think like out of that final run, who could really blame them where they were trying to be a little bit more careful, and this time, of course, Chicken Dinner might have actually slid out of their hands, but they've got themselves quite an amount of takedowns in this match. So later we'll take a look at how many points they have accumulated overall. The X did make the top 4 along with GD in the top 3. So great stuff being shown by all these teams, and Judo Alliance of Malaysia claims the first one for the nation. And you know what? It might just be another one in the bag on the final round.
Yeah, but anyway, despite Judo Alliance getting a chicken dinner, what matters is the points, right, at the end of the day. So FaZe Clan coming back at the top of the charts with 25 points because they got themselves 13 eliminations. But we also did talk about like the pattern of teams getting chicken dinners, right? So the first 2 games was Indonesia, second set of 2 was Thailand, and well, maybe the final set will be Malaysia. Just putting out there. Yeah, just putting out there.
That's right. And you know, FaZe Clan, it was still a really important round for them to revitalize their points because they were slowly sliding down the charts, and they have sensed that urgency to put these points back on the board. So there's still one more round to go. We'll see who else will be able to step up, while Ventores was the one that has been able to dish out the most amount of damage. Damage coming in from FaZe Clan, I do believe, with 5 takedowns apiece. And that's actually a really long shot, 350 meters.
I know, right? Just look at the, as comparing.
Of this second place finish, FaZe Clan now moves up ahead and will take over the second spot. And it's Infinity as well as VP that gets pushed down. Meanwhile, GD consistently surges upwards with a top 5 finish. And 4 rivals will have to give that spot away.
Yeah, just looking at this as an overall, right? Basically, you will only have 4 teams not seeing the light of PMGC. 4 out of 16. If you happen to be in that 4 category, I mean, it's very, very unfortunate.
It's a tough pill to swallow. Look at NFT. They are just 1 point ahead
of
you.
Man.
Down to that final game of tonight to see the conclusion of day 1. But I think like we've seen a lot of great plays overall, and especially with great results coming in from Boom. Like, there's still opportunities for teams like that. And, well, final chicken dinner, though, we'll have to wait for that as we go on the recap first and foremost.
Yeah, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We have a 6th game, so an extra game as compared to the league. So you want to stick around and don't want to miss out on the action. Now, just a little bit of a recap. Of course, Judo Alliance, we know that they got that chicken dinner, but then again, because FaZe Clan, they got 13 eliminations, their overall points were more than Judo Alliance. That put them at number 1 in the overall points charts. The circle, fairly kind, I must say, to all these teams. From the start till the later stage of the circle, they always got the circle. So it's kind of comfortable for all these 4.
That's right, and we saw GD playing from the further end, and eventually when it does shift, look at that advantage given over to FaZe Clan first and foremost. And then I think like the decision to take the lower ground might have actually affected them a bit, or else they could basically challenge UDO Alliance for that high ground instead.
Yeah, looking back at this, right, just look at, I'm still kind of reminded by FaZe Clan could have finished this off, and imagine if FaZe Clan finished this off, it would have been like, so they got like 13 eliminations? Okay, so it will be +4, so they would have gotten like 17 eliminations. It would have been the biggest so
One
far
of the biggest
in
today.
The, today in the grand finals, right? I just felt like they didn't take their chances well during the end.
Yeah, I think like at least like they managed to regain their form at the very least. I think that is the biggest factor that they have been able to achieve for today. And it's far from over. We still have one more match to go. So who is it gonna be, Sir Cloud? It's not prediction time yet, but we can start talking about it.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember who I predict, but I think right now, let's put that aside. But if at the current moment, if I were to predict, let's make it cool, let's make it nice, let's keep the pattern on another Malaysian team. Probably like, I think 4 Rivals stands a good chance. We did talk about why, and they are fairly consistent as well. So yeah, I guess if any other team were to get the chicken dinner, I guess for me, I will pick 4 Rivals.
Yeah, 4 Rivals definitely looking very on form for the day. Despite them having a little bit of a rough around this map itself, we'll just have to keep an eyes watch onto some of these players out there. Venturas, as well as Tony K, both has gotten 5 frags each. And Lambo have also secured 5. And that push towards Buram United, I think is the gutsiest thing I've seen all day.
You know what, the thing that all these 3 players have in common is that they color their hair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an easy job for our graphic designer. Like, it doesn't need to change the picture, just change the numbers.
Pretty interesting, like, all of them have gotten 5 frags each. It's just a difference of the output, I guess. So, I think it's fair enough. Lambo, most often than not, you see him coming into most of these fights in short range, while Venturas, I think he has done quite a significant attack onto many of these teams. Now, we have already gotten all these chicken dinners on board, 1 more remaining, so the list goes from NFT Esports, GD, TEM Entertainment, Vampire Esports, and of course, the recently concluded UDO Alliance with their first chicken dinner here in the grand finals. Let's talk about the improvement of UDO Alliance, like from their debut a couple of seasons back, and now fighting in the Southeast Asian Championship and showing up with the first chicken dinner from Malaysia. I think like this team just keeps on improving. Yeah,
I do agree. And I've watched them since they were a community team, since they were known as Farang Legend back in the day, right? And they have this miracle story as well. They came through PMNC, they get into the PMPL, and in fact, for them to come to PMNC, it wasn't like, okay, straight up 1 PMNC and that's it, and then to PMPL. They had to go to two seasons of PMNC to get themselves into PMPL. And the first time around, it was close for them. They were in the running until that final day. They dropped the ball. I remember it clearly. And that allowed, I believe it was R2K or some other team, to actually climb back up onto them and making themselves back onto PMPL. But what a journey it has been in general for UDO Alliance, or back then used to be known as Farang Legend.
Oh yeah, I've witnessed this story as well. Like, I remember even casting my first ever tournament for the PMCO qualifier.
Wow!
Like, they almost make the cut into the grand finals in Malaysia. And it was just really slight margins that didn't allow them to qualify to that round. And we saw them taking a long time before they finally make it back into the PMPL. So I think like this is a never give up attitude that we absolutely love, and I think it's been like 3 years or more that they've been together. A lot of these players might be new to the SEA Championship, but there's just so many stories to tell, and I wish we could basically fish out more information about SLD, because these guys have not been ever set foot into the Southeast Asia Championship, and they are doing remarkably.
Yeah, I am impressed with how SLD is performing so far, to be honest. All other teams we've seen at least a representative from that team inside, like in previous editions. But for SLD, to me, is totally new. Like, where did they come from? They have been playing for a while, maybe in their own league, right? But this is the first time, of course, at this stage, and we're introduced to this team. And they don't have like staple names from the Vietnamese league or the scene. It's interesting to see that they are doing even better than some of the other Vietnamese teams as well on this stage. And I do believe that they have what it takes to bring themselves on the BMGC.
That's right, and I have already witnessed some of all these great runs coming in from teams of Vietnam. They were the most recent champions after all, and they really want to keep that trophy there. But first, it's time for us to look at the predictions while we chat about it. And this is the reason why we've been talking about Vietnamese teams, right?
Yeah,
like, this Xavier, I've been keeping a close watch for the past couple of games, and you know, that round itself, they managed to secure top 4 finish, or at the very least, we have Lambo that actually does a lot of work. It's securing 5 pointers back to the team. I just want to see a little bit more feistiness again, the hunger to basically close off those rounds, because DX, when they basically play on a faster tempo, they look just as scary as Infinity.
Yeah, I think the Xavier does stand a good chance as well. They kind of give me the feeling of like 4 rivals. It's like they are okay, they are performing, they're fine. It's just that they haven't got the breakthrough moment, like getting that chicken dinner and just putting it, sealing it on the board, right? And I think it's a matter of time for them to do that, because they have been all right. And of course, the limelight is not on them because other teams getting chicken dinner, and that's about it. So I do like your prediction as well.
And overall, you know, like, let's talk about your prediction again.
Oh yeah. So, well, I'm a little bit late to the party. Just saying.
One game late, huh?
1 game late, just like how you were.
I was 1 game late too.
Yeah, we haven't really got it spot on just yet. But then again,
and I think my closest one was Rem United.
Oh yeah.
And yep, that turned over real quick.
Yeah, that was really close. That came close. But for me, I guess this pick is more of like continuing on the pattern of a single region to get 2 back-to-back. Now, of course, I'm a little bit greedy to say that the Udo Alliance is going to get 2 back-to-back. But we did talk about like 4 rivals maybe having their chance as well. But we'll see what happens as we head on to our final game, our number 6 game, which is going to be in Erangel.
It's time once again to see who will be the one to secure the chicken dinner of the night. And this is Contra as well as Clown on the mic. We've been your storytellers for the entirety of the evening. We'll continue to do so for tomorrow as well. If you guys are looking forward for more action here in the grand finals. It's been some long day for all these players out there. They've been accustomed to 5 maps per day. And keep in mind, even with 5 maps, they were only playing 4 in those rotations of the league. So having 6 rounds does put them to the test on their stamina, on everything that they've been working so hard for. How much more work can they put in this final hurdle of day 1 before we move our way into day 2?
You know what? For a second there, I thought your opening would have been a rhyme. Trying to do a rap battle or something.
I know.
Okay. We still have day number 2 and day number 3 for you to practice, or to more like to showcase your rapping skills.
Your
open mic skills.
I can rap presents, but I can't rap on the mic.
Okay, I like that. You gotta wait.
Well, speaking of presents, some of these teams are showing heavy presence over onto the eastern side.
Wow. That's an upgrade to the segways.
Yeah. Well, that still rhymes. Something you like, huh?
Oh yeah.
The Savior 4 rivals being quite close to each other as always. SLD floats their way into Gakta. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's just that VP decides to move all the way up to Zarki since Primos is inaccessible. Geek Fam though, I think this is an interesting conversation we're going to dive into. This is a team that have always had the potential, but it's a little bit of a lackluster performance coming in from the champions of M1 SGPH.
Yeah. I mean, among the regions, right? Like there wasn't any other team that got like a full 80 point into the country finals. They were the only team that did that, and hence I could understand why the expectations for them coming into the PMPLC is a little bit high. But of course, like some of the interviews that we had with GigFam, they did mention that C is a different animal by itself. Like, teams are unpredictable. Teams are obviously highly skilled, and it's a different stage as compared to the countries. And for them themselves, like they are trying to manage themselves. Like they're trying to adapt to the situation. Hence, we can see that there's a change of drop spot. They're trying to be a nomad and try to do things that make other teams unpredictable on what GigFam's going to do. And hopefully that is able to give them the results that they want. But unfortunately, looking at the current case, that GigFam is the team that's sliding down.
I think like they just have to find a form of consistency. But if you're gonna go with an approach where you always change locations all the time, you always have different approaches to every single game. I think it's great on the adaptation, which will make them a lot more flexible when they do hit into the PMGC run, where maybe you won't always get the township that you want from other teams, right? So if you're going to take those battles, you have to be very prepared for that long haul brawl. And I think like it's more of a long-term plan for GeekFam as compared to a short-term goal that they have. Sure, extra money will be nice, but their chances now to move over the top spot have significantly decreased because of today's performance.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I mean, look at the difference. It's like what 60 over points, 69 point difference between them and Time Entertainment. And let's not forget as well,
There's
Time
going to be more
Entertainment.
points to be added up too.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to add up to. And Time Entertainment is performing. I'm not gonna hide the fact on that. It's gonna be tough for them to challenge for the championship. Of course, GeekFam, they already secured their slot onto PMGC. They already directly invited because of their previous performance. But so their only goal right now, you can kind of say that it's for them to get that #1 spot. And if they're away from the #1 spot and they already have the slot to PMGC, this comes back to my thought or my conversation about when we first started the show. What will motivate them to push all the way through if that's the case?
Yeah, and of course there's only monetary values involved for now and some accolades if they really want to aim for some top score. I believe UPI is also part of the top 5 gunslingers of the list. Sometimes it's some other players that will slide into the top 5 instead. And that's where, you know, you want to be competitive. You always got to be very much on the ball. And for now, we start off the day here with some really great approaches coming from GD and all the Indonesian teams. But all the other Thai teams have already caught up. Yummy getting chased on by Snitchel.
Oh, here we go. So Snissel, GDJDS, they are one of the teams that are chasing for the top spot. They want the points in the back, but they are not going to overcommit. The moment they know that Boom is being chased away, they know that they have some space, they'll be like, okay, we're done. But if this was the Infinity, they'll probably chase them down all the way to the ground.
Yeah, this is definitely something that they'll be seeking out for. But thankfully, it wasn't the case. I mean, Infinity has already got some rough games today. They have better rounds inside of Angle, that's for sure. And I think like that's where whatever deficit a lot of all these teams had back in Sanok, back in Miramar, it didn't really matter a lot more. And I understand why more teams will be putting more priority onto Erangel. If each day you're playing 3 maps apiece, that's a total of 9 maps that you have to play out. As compared to Miramar, you only play 6 games and only 3 games inside of Sanok.
Yep. Yeah. True. It's a lot more games if you kind of think about it. Then you did point out like, okay, actually in the league, yes, for us as casters, as viewers, we are watching 5 games. But to the players, they're watching 4 games. So it's not a +1 when it comes to the country finals. It is a +2. And not only that, I just add in onto the mix, right? Like, it's likely for them to get a break in between games during the league stage. But here it is 0 likeliness for them to get a proper break, except for the mandatory break. Other than that, it's like, you're going to play straight down. And that is definitely going to be challenging when it comes to the stamina, the mentality of these players. If they do well, probably that's okay. They might feel like they want to play the next round quickly. But if they don't, if they too soon, picking up is not going to be easy.
Yeah, also keep in mind that in other regions they have different time zones, so +1 or -1 in terms of hours. With that, we have to keep track between time differences. Like
True.
for some of them, it's already like what, kind of late into the night, whereas of course it's still gonna be past dinner for most part. So of course, us being at GMT +8, it's almost hitting 10 o'clock by the time the game ends. So it has been quite the day for all these players out there. Well, there's basically no rest for the wicked, they say.
Oh, yeah, a wicked move there from the Infinity. They're still waiting for teams from the military base island to come up to the main peninsula. So far, they've been doing it a couple of times. It's starting to feel like a pattern there. And if they keep doing that, you know, teams like NFT or GDGIDS, they'll be like, I know you're there. You've been doing it the whole day. So we'll take our time to make that rotation, or we'll find another route, whatever that is. So I think, you know what, the Infinity, it's probably time for them to just switch up their pattern a bit.
That's right. And they definitely need to try something a little bit more different. For the most part, you will see a lot of discipline being shown from most of these teams of Thailand. Not making anything drastic in the early game, but we have BRU who have just taken point in shelter and now has to reposition again. Pachinki seems to be the focal point once more. So we'll see a lot of movements across the map. FaZe Clan, they had an impressive round. If this is going to be take two in a similar location, I think this time around, you're in for redemption.
Wow. I see the rhyme there. I see the rhyme there. I'll be waiting for more though, just saying. Expectations are there now. You have an expectation.
I wasn't trying. I don't really remember what I said.
It's okay. There's a thing called the replay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yummy, you know? I think like he's got a fantastic start into the early rounds of the day. Boom Esports now at 59 points. And they need to chase up to Buriram United. I think that is the final cutoff point for teams that are fighting for that spot. And to be safe, you want to also challenge teams like Youth Alliance, Alter Ego. Most of these teams are just a few points apart. So every round, we'll see a lot of shifts going on. Sliding down, sliding up. But SLD not sliding anywhere though.
But they can slide into my DMs.
Or
I don't know, for sending me a jersey or something. I wouldn't mind that.
These
Did
doors
the
have
door
eyes.
just open by itself?
yeah,
The doors have
spooky
eyes.
October. I got to tell you that.
Oh yeah. It is the Halloween month.
Yeah. And Bevy immediately getting naded from a good distance coming in. Adik Luke secures it as that, or should I say, Oleo comes in with the first pointer for the team. Most often than not, you don't expect players to suddenly move into Watertown, so I wasn't too sure what the player of TM was thinking.
Yeah, considering that this kind of circle, that's not like really centered. And let's not kid ourselves, right? Like Watertown is not the most ideal of favorite sort of area. But okay, if I want to be like the devil's advocate to say that, yeah, because it's not ideal, because it's not favorite, that's why the possibility of not having a team there is higher. Hence, that makes teams like, hey, you know what? Let's try to rotate ourselves there instead of like common places. And be like, yeah, you're right. I'm talking to myself right now.
Exactly, but don't worry. I guess I could see through the wave of communications. Speaking of which, April just going for a little bit of a hunch exercise. Well, gotta keep those knees strong because he's gonna need it to run the mile throughout this school area play. SLD still getting man mark. I don't think it's gonna be wise of them to challenge because honestly, you're not gonna be able to land those kind of shots. I could be wrong, but try as you may. Eagle Esports, though, 50 points. I think like Eagle Esports consists of such a strong, talented roster, but I wonder what is the case of their hardship overall. I think like they had a good run today back in Miramar, but they didn't secure enough points during the league. Perhaps that's the biggest struggle that they will have to face.
Yeah, and that's the cruelty of this format, right? It's you need to do well in the league to have a good start. And if you don't have a good start, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be disheartening to see like, okay, you're like 40 points, for example, and the one on top has like 70-ish points, and then you'll be thinking to yourself like, oh, okay, that's like 2-3 games in hand. Like, how am I going to catch the #1 spot? And let's not forget as well, they are on top of that for a reason, and they'll still continue to collect points. And how are you going to catch up? Just like what the live score is, it's going to be 50. It's not 50. It's 81 points difference between the Eagles and Tem Entertainment.
I just love this kind of format because it reminds me of maybe Formula One. I know it's an entirely different sport, but just like you're racing on the qualifiers, when you do get that position start, then on race day itself, if you finish first, you should start off as first. Then to go on a full reset where it's anybody's chance to win, like, then what's the point of having a lead to begin with? So it makes significant sense, but then again, it is a cruel system where teams at the bottom, they need all the miracle they can get to pull through.
I'm going to add on to the thought process of having that sort of system, right? So in that sort of racing game or racing tournament competition,
hoping for this to
really good spot, a prime position I call it. Because of this high heels, they can see the movement from FaZe Clan. They can even shoot them down if they want to. At the same time, they can see movement out of Pachinki. But now we put focus onto NFT and Alter Ego.
Boyshil did quite a significant damage at the Indonesian side, clocking horns yet again. He does get the angle of the building, gets him down on his knees. Fnatic did not stand a chance, even with the smoke being prime. And Alter Ego quickly goes in for a little bit of reposition. That's outside of the hill is not really safe for Alter Ego. They will try to reposition. Now on the sprint up to the hills, Geek Fam, they can basically challenge them though. And remember this, we were talking about potential chicken dinners for Malaysia. If it's going to be back-to-back, Geek Fam stands a real good chance here. It could be 4 rivals too.
Yeah, well, not gonna lie. 2 teams, 4 rivals does well. Geek Fam has a good record in the country PMPL, so both of them have their own status of why they deserve the chicken dinner inside of this Erango round. It's a matter of whether they can be the ones to do it or not. That is going to be the bigger question, because there will be other teams stopping them from getting that chicken dinner, that precious chicken dinner. And one of them is going to be the Eagles. They managed to get 2 knockdown onto the Vampires. Looks like a good start for the number 16 team.
Ravenclaw getting tagged up, and we've seen members of Vampire Esports dropping like flies. Only Flukif is left, and I don't think there's anything to be done here. Bacon Time will be able to find that final pick from the back, and they're just being cornered up everywhere they go. Oh my goodness, that spray transition! How did he hit that to Arctic Luke?
I know, right? That was like, what, 200 meters away? Something like that, or maybe 100 meters away. That was a really long shot coming in from Shirty. And now he's not done yet. Taking the high ground advantage. Wow. Sees O'Leo, 2 knockdowns back-to-back for Bacon Time.
It's a full clip connecting onto 2, and finally he was brought down by Shamil. Sharp enough, but there's only one more play left from Udo Alliance. Not off a chicken dinner, and now being pressurized by the rest of Bacon Time. That nade might actually do some significant damage, but so long as they're being held back, that's all that they needed. Shamil has to be left out. And same goes to Oleo. There's nothing much left for Udo Alliance.
Oh, not much left. Even not much room for them to play with, and still be pressured by the zone. 200 meters away from the circle. Rebel Boy tries to get 147. Rebel Boy will be able to do it. Coming in for the flash. Managed to get a knockdown to Shirty. That's a beautiful flag coming in for Rebel Boy.
They still manage to get that one knocked out. Repo Boys is the only one remaining. He's trying to scavenge for any sort of loot. I think he doesn't have enough time. Can he wrap up in time though?
Yes.
3, 2. Okay, that's good enough. Octa finds one. Tries a little Maple. He just dropped him onto the ground while that nade flies towards Bogey. One Molotov set into place. He's running through the fire.
Octa moving on down. It's going to be 4 rivals. They're winning this fight against Boom. 2 knockdowns back to back. It's going to be Happy getting the second one. But Boom still has active players. They need to reset quickly.
Infinity is still waiting in line, and they do have the circle just by the edges. And Pombi, he's waiting on the edges here. But he doesn't really have to make a move. And that is just one small little ditch that he was currently hiding at. But Esports now suffering from the big blows of Appy. He's just about to pop them all up.
Nate.
Can he actually get all the yes, all 3 members flushed out by Appy of 4 rivals.
1 nade to rule them all, we call this. And it's going to be Happy, the man who got 10 elimination points during the league, securing those elimination points for his team.
And Bacon Time's still on it, though. There is a little bit more of a significant pressure onto Geek Fam. They're trying to hold the line. They're not even getting into the circle yet because they know if they don't watch their 6, Bacon Time can easily run them over. But FaZe Clan, they take over the position of where Geek Fam was at. This is going to be a little bit more of a hassle for some of these teams. Over onto the top end of the hill, they're still fighting for position, and there's just nowhere safe. NFT, they're just slowly playing from the lower grounds on the opposite end of the Potato Hills. And Damroot keeping a close watch, but can he offer some takedowns?
Oh, the good news is that for Geek Fam, at least they're not too far from the circle. But they have the opportunity to stop Bacon Time from going into it. Damroot knows exactly where Ice is. He sees him, but not pulling the trigger just yet. At the same time, we can see that Temp Entertainment seems to be fighting against Miriam United, and they seem to be winning the fight. 1 more to go. Kengdo almost getting it. And so Zip comes in, but Kengdo needs to be the one to clutch it onto the opponent. Kengdo needs to recover quickly the zone.
Oh, he still fell. He almost made the cut. Buram United have 3 members bleeding out to the blue zone. There's not much time left for Buram United Esports. And now only 1 member left remaining. Bacon Time trying to do all they can to take out the rest of Geek Fam. But Geek Fam currently way too strong. They do have 4 takedowns. Isis tries to book it out of the way with the vehicle that he has. Just sending a little smoke, but it won't be 1 more tick of health left. He's forced to leave the vehicle.
Oh, that's super duper close there for Isis, probably playing by the rim of the circle at this moment. 4 rivals on the other hand. On the other side, spots out Tony K. Tony K got down by Happy, the man himself. 5 elimination points for Happy.
This is the best performance we've seen here from 4 rivals, with Appy taking charge of every action. Isis does find 1 back. Geek Fam having you high knocked down, while Umstel's next on the chopping block. Damroot tries to get those tags, but he's also being shot back. Micah sends Umstel out of the way. 5 elimination points coming in from Geek Fam. And FaZe Clan still holding on. They have 4 frags. And there's not much healthy members left available. Isis still fighting back against Geek Fam. And there is not much room left.
Oh, and he has to do it quick. Now against Damroot, that only has about 20% of health. That's probably still active at this moment. Damroot managed to reset himself. The circle doesn't favor them. Lamborghini putting pressure on the 4 rivals, and Appy may be eliminated. A4 will not have a chance to pick up his teammate. And Geek Fam is out. Looks like it's going to be Newsy shooting from afar.
And now, 4 rivals, they are trying to both them center of the areas, but they get all the attention from the Savior, and they will crush them to bits. Rabbits with a great spray on that DP, now coming out for Venturis right down the hillside. And he will knock them out. No chance left for some of these members of FaZe Clan. They still have 2 more to go, though. And he sprays into the smoke. The AUG might settle it, but they're going for a gate crash. And it runs them over.
Frankie now, but he has not eliminated him just yet. And yes, it didn't take him too long as Frankie finishes up the job. That is it for FaZe Clan and number 6 with 6 elimination points. Bacon Time on the other hand still has eyes, that's still active, that's still alive from the previous circle, and is getting into the circle. Looks like he will be unchallenged.
An epic way to end the game here, with our top 4 teams still remaining. 3 players coming in for the Infinity as well as the Savior. And only solo targets from Four Rivals as well as Bacon Time. Very significant points coming in for both Bacon as well as Four Rivals. But now the tall task begins. But remember this, Appy have closed out a match all alone before. And we have yet to see Bacon Time to do exactly the same, where Newsy is still alive in the late game phase, and you know what this means. Significant chance for the Infinity.
Oh yeah, because Newsy is still alive. He definitely wants to chase the FMVP for himself as well. He definitely wants the points in the bag, but he needs to find out where the opponents are at this moment. But it seems that they know where Ice is. The Infinity have a little bit of a high ground advantage. They are inside the circle together with the Xavier. The Xavier spots out Ice. Looks exactly where he is. Duke is going in for it with the AUG. Ice is now caught on the outside circle. The zone will be onto Ice very, very soon.
He's trying to heal up. There's not much angles for him to take here. But thankfully, it stops by the corner of the tree. He's still going to be alive now. He's going to fancy his chance against Duke. Now, AUG does have a little bit of a recall going on, and ISIS will bow to play zone, leaving only 3 teams left. The Savior to use this chance against Infinity, and there goes Newsy. He's fighting off against Appy, and Appy crushed by Rabbids. He takes that 1 point away from the Infinity.
And looks like no second time around. The Appy pulls off a clutch against 2 teams. He'll be taking down number 3, 4 rivals. That's going to be either the Xavier or the Infinity who's going to take home this final chicken dinner for today. But the Infinity, not only they have the circle, but they have the high ground advantage. But I spoke too soon as Doom takes down opportunity.
Now they're rushing towards Logan. They do have the ghillie suit too. If they still want to play a little bit more of a proning. They spot out Newsy moving from the top side of the kill, and they're trying to trade right back for the grenades. And here comes the exchanges coming between Logan as well as Frankie. Newsy down, and there's only 2 more members left. Well, that's actually Here comes the flash though.
Ooh.
Stuff coming in. Newsy, he's got down Rabbids.
Can he? A little bit more, but looks like he can finish out the job. But looks like he managed to get the low down to Rabbids. And now Newsy, we know what he got, what he will do. Duke is down. The Infinity can do the comeback.
1v1.
1v1. Frankie against Newsy.
Frankie, he could still go in for a pickup. Newsy, he might have that intel, but he's not going to give him space for that. No more smoke grenades. Do has to crawl right back, and he does find a little bit more glimpse of an angle. He can also resuscitate Rabbids if he needs. Newsy now on the push. Molotov coming very close though. Newsy pushing forward into the smokes he go. There's enough time to revive Do, but could this be it?
Oh, Newsy 1v2, space on the right, but then again the explosion from the vehicle. The vehicle's explosion is the one to take down Newsy. That was so close. He did everything right. He pushed, he put pressure to the Xavier. But then again, the explosion. The Xavier was smart enough to take advantage of that. Congratulations to the Xavier.
That's one way to end it with a bang, and I'm glad my prediction came true. This Xavier have played this one so perfectly. It came down to a 1 versus 1 to end the night here in the grand finals day 1. Tomorrow, I believe there's going to be a lot more great games, and the Xavier is just getting started.
Oh man, if you are in Newsy's shoes, you can't think about it. You'll be like, yeah, I got this in the bag. I'm putting a lot of pressure onto them. I'm going to bring home the chicken dinner for the Infinity. And that happened. The vehicle explosion happened. In the vehicle explosion, if the vehicle was already exploded, for example, he used that as a barricade as he gets closer, he probably would have clutched that. He had a high ground.
It could have. There's so many possibilities out there. And you could also argue that if he was to push those smokes a little bit faster, it could have also been a sort of clutch factor for him. But then again, in such a rowdy round, the battle for the hills of control, some of the big highlights was that great grenade coming in from 4 rivals to wipe out 3 members of Boom, and that clutch moment against BRU. And we've seen so many interesting things happen in this battle round where DX, they didn't get so many early frags, but on phase 6, that's where they started farming up.
Oh, man. Yeah, the Xavier, they were super active in this round as well. We saw how many elimination points that they try to get because they know that they still have the opportunity to chase for the #1 spot. So it looks like the big teams are back in this round. You kind of think about it, like the Xavier, like the Infinity, #1, #2, doing really, really well.
That's right. Then Newsy down to the explosion of the vehicle to close off that round. And such a peculiar fashion. I think DX just love to do things very differently, and you see they got resources for days with 21 frag grenades and 35 smokes to play out, and even some stuns. I mean, where's the love for stun grenades, right? Like, we see Molotovs.
Yeah.
Don't we have graphics for this stun?
Yeah, we need a stat for that, you know. Like,
That'll be interesting, right?
that will be. I do wonder sometimes, like, why isn't it, like, commonly used? Maybe because, like, the backpack is limited or something like that. But anyway, so we have the Xavier with 9 elimination points, 24 total points. The Infinity, 19.5 points behind in this round. But on the flip side, though, SLD had a good start today, but they seem to be kind of slipping down.
Yeah, losing that sort of momentum, I would say the same. It's been a really long day for many of all these teams, but I think the big winners for some of these rounds, once again, look at that. 4 Rivals, another 17 points. And when we talk about 4 Rivals, we have to talk about Appy.
Yeah, this is like Appy Esports by now, you know?
It's so... this man is just too good. I would say, like, of all the things that has happened for 4 Rivals, like, Appy is definitely the pinnacle of their success from day one, back in the days when they were still known as MPX, and they went from teams to
all
teams.
sorts of names.
All sorts of names, but his name have always been appearing on the block. And now 4 Rivals back to the top 5 at the very least.
Yeah, so 4 Rivals is there, top 5. In fact, you kind of think about it, they are only like, what, 28-point difference from the top, which doesn't sound that bad considering that we still have like 12 games to go. So anything can still happen at number 1 spot. Like Time Entertainment, they cannot be complacent at that top spot. FaZe Clan, Infinity, just look at the difference, like 2 points difference and so on and so forth. But I also wanted to highlight on the other side as well. Like SLD, they were hard, but unfortunately they're slipping down. Now they are not within the spot, the reach of going into PMGC yet.
And here are the top eliminators for today only. And look at who we've got.
Appy
has
wow.
bested not only Tony K, but also Onsens. It's 17 frags. Like, we didn't even notice this. Okay, he shut down 5 players on this matchup itself. I think there was another match, like he came out with, what, 6? There's just so much that he does. Game in, game out.
Yeah, this is Appy Esports we're talking about. Like, and the fun fact about Appy, right? So among the players of 4 Rivals, he's actually the quietest one.
Yeah.
He wouldn't talk to anyone.
He does have a very calm and collected face. And now let's take a look at the individual awards. Currently, the Gunslinger title goes to Tony K with the highest average elimination. It's actually tied with Newsy. It's actually that close. Mormon also steps up. And you know, we were talking about Tony K needing to chase up against Newsy. And finally, he does with that 16 frag that he achieved today. Newsy got the grenade title, though, so I think, like, at least that's something for him.
And Tony K is just behind him. But they have the same amount of grenade elimination, so I just want to point that out. But other than that, this is also going to be important. The season MVP race. Looks like Tony K is back on at number 1 spot. Newsy dropped onto 2nd place. Mela, as usual, is always behind Newsy. And just look at the gap between them, right? It feels like it's going to be down to either Tony K and Newsy.
It has to be. But then again, in the top 5, we are also seeing both Mormon as well as Onsens to be making a lot of great plays. And we've also seen both Mormon as well as Onsens who have also had some long survival time into most of all these matchups. So TM, they're up there on the board for a really good reason, where it's not just a 2-man squad that you're talking about. The whole roster of TM have been able to have significant pull into the game where it just gravitates around them. And there's just so many great things to talk about this team who is currently sitting at top 1. But teams are also chasing him, so TM, they can't afford to just sit still.
Yeah, and what I really like about Time Entertainment is that they don't have like one player that stands out or one player that really carries the team. It does feel like every player carries their own weight, and they are a very balanced team. If like you compare with like GDGIDS, we talk about like, okay, you gotta have Alan. If you talk about like Boom, for example, you need to have Oktar. And if you talk about FaZe Clan, you need to have Tony K. But if you talk about Time Entertainment, it feels like everyone is the same. and that's where when it comes to the season MVP charts as well, you can see that those two, they are there, but they are really close and they're fairly similar.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, with all that talk, we would definitely want to speak to some of the players out there ready for this interview. So please welcome them on board.
What's up pemburu? How are you? Apa khabar pemburu? Tapi tu bukan soalan dia lah. Kita nak simpan soalan panas sikit lah Okay. Tapi sebelum tu pemburu. Okay, so dekat Grand Finals ni nampaknya Four Rivals macam tengah kejar nombor 1 ni. Apakah target Four Rivals sebenarnya? Translate dululah. So pemburu Four Rivals doing fairly well so far in the Grand Finals. Seems to have a target to go to number 1. But what's the actual target for Four Rivals? Apakah target sebenar Four Rivals untuk Finals ni?
Okay, target kita orang adalah dapat champion lah. Kalau tak champion, top 3 pun Alhamdulillah. Itu lah target kita orang.
Exactly.